love 23andMe. I freaking love I freaking love 23andMe. Okay. All right, I got my 23andMe. I love 23andMe. Um, I it's become a big thing for me to just scour the internet. I'll even go to I'll watch YouTube videos of people's 23andMe's, or I'll even go to like Reddit and stuff like that or wherever, which I normally don't do. But you can just find tons of stuff with people posting their 23andMe's, and it just says so much. And it's these things don't lie like people do. I mean, you could disagree with however they order the data or whatever what they have, but there's something to it for sure. Okay, but let's check it out. All right, so first off, you'll notice it's 100% European. So this is this is a little different than um what people kind of lead to. This is one of the things why I thought it would be exciting, and I wanted to see it, because for however many years and years, people would say that everybody's mixed or something, that like there's no like pure race or something, that we're all mixed, and that so forth. But so I'm like, I mean, you can't necessarily, I mean, people say that, and it doesn't seem quite correct, but if you don't have something else, but then you do the 23andMe, 100% European. So it just shows, I mean, beyond that, it does get kind of, I think, well, we'll just get into it before talk about whatever else. All right, so from going down, north 78.5 Northwestern European, so 78.5 Nordic, or more or less, and but these are good numbers. I think. I mean, I guess one surprising thing you could say is that as the British and Irish came out on top. I don't know, especially like, well, I always figured it was mostly German, or more more German, or especially like people see my last name and they'll all comment about how German that is, and so forth. But if you look at country Germany, Austria, Switzerland, possible match Germany, and then the regions, the highly likely Rhineland, Palatinate, Berlin, Hesse, North Rhine-Westphalia. Okay, the Hesse I thought was cool because I have some I have pre-revolutionary war ancestry in America, so colonial ancestry that goes way back. But I figure it's mostly British and Irish. But then I thought it would be cool if there's like Hesse in there, but probably not. I'm guessing this probably came later and just seemed kind of cool. Who knows? But I know for sure some of the stuff. But with the British and Irish, it's the Ireland definitely came out big time. But it doesn't really break this up, which I think is a little bit disappointing in how 23andMe does this. Like it puts French and German together. I'm not any part French, so that makes that easy. But then where it's British and Irish, they just put that number 29.8 together. Like, I mean, I'd like to know kind of what the break the break. I mean, just for the heck of it, um, in a way. So explore your Irish heritage. So I'm not going to do any more Irish bashing. No, I always knew I was part Irish, but Irish came out on top. But someone might give me guff about, because I've given Irish guff in the past. But even let's say check out the UK stuff. I've actually been to Ireland, but I've never been to the UK. But I've London. I asked a British guy which ones of these are good, and the only one he was really impressed with is Belfast, which he said is like the nicest you could do on one of these. But he was like he wasn't impressed by like Manchester, Glasgow City, or anything like that. Yorkshire. He did, only Belfast. But I thought Belfast was pretty dope too. I like seeing that. However much this splits up, and then in Ireland itself, we can go to I thought. Okay. Oh, oh yeah, County Cork, County Galway, County Mayo, Dublin, Limerick, Clare, Kerry, Donegal, so forth. So and then Germany, German, British, Irish, and then Scandinavian with the Denmark. I knew this. Um, this is my most recent DNA arriving in America. This is on my mom's side. I had a great grandfather from Denmark, and this is he fought in World War One actually in the Statue of Liberty division. He fought in a New York um, unit. I mean that's where he's showing up, and then he sent him over, and he fought in the Meuse Argonne battles. He fought in battles to try to get he fought in the battles to get the lost battalion back, and but anyhow, that's pretty dope. But I knew Denmark. I mean, like everything on here is pretty much what I expected. Finnish, I never heard of this, but it's 0.2% Finnish, so you won't really. I guess you won't hear that. I've never heard of that, but that's cool to see. There wasn't any like crazy reveal, like there wasn't any like wild stuff like Chechen or Berber or something like showing up. It's all pretty much what I expect. You might think it's more or less. I don't know if you think it's interesting. Like I love it, but it's me. Slovenia, Eastern Europe. So we get out of the Nordic, and I think this is good. I think this, you know, you like I get people will accuse me of being Eastern European a lot, and they'll ask me like where I'm from or something. But I can only really say that I have Slovenian, um, and that's on my dad's side. My dad's mom is Slovenian, and I'd say there's less Slovenian than I expected, and there is some. If you see, they snuck Southern Europe. It's just the way 23andMe does this. I wouldn't say I'm Southern European at all, but because they consider Croatia, Greek, and Balkan Southern Europe. So Croatia, I actually have more than I thought. It's 4.9. I never knew I was part Croatian at all. So that would be the closest thing to like where if you find something you didn't expect. Like I didn't. If there was something like that, you have to go into this figuring you'll just accept it. You'll accept who you are. Or maybe you won't. Maybe you'll just fight against who you are and reject who you are for the rest of your life or something. But but no. I like to see it because it shows you kind of who you are in a way. It shows you what you are not. Also, you're not anything beyond this, and then there's. I mean, sometimes you might wonder if there are underlying things that underlies people's behavior, so forth. or what? Who knows? You tell me. You have this information now. I figured I'd, even though this is like, I just like looking at people's 23andMe's and all different kinds, videos, whatever. So I figured I'd throw mine up just as well. I think that I get kind of excited with this kind of research, and I think it'll show like all kinds of stuff like from the past. Like it'll show all like we could find like with black people, it it turns out I didn't know this. I found this out recently, but black people have like African Americans like I'm speaking exclusively of African Americans, excuse me, because it's only if you're in America, but you'll have they'll have 24% on average, and this is like across the board. It's not it's pretty much on average, but like it's gonna be there for pretty much every except for the Geechee Gula peoples who arrive later in like the coastal Carolinas, and they'll be maybe more African, but across the board, pretty much every African American otherwise will have 24%, and that's at least because that's non-recent relative, a non-recent ancestor. Like so, this is it's 24% European from the slavery days. So they have that from. So the slave masters or the slave help or whoever were like raping the slaves or having some like romantic encounters with them or something, you know. But it shows something. I wouldn't have figured that. I wouldn't have really expected that at all. But that, I mean, there could be there could be a lot there. That's a significant difference between any African American and any um, African, or like the Africans who are arriving in Europe. Europe might have figured they wanted like African American thing, but it's I don't know. But it'd be kind of different, you know. It's not just for what it's worth. Same thing with castizo, mestizo type Hispanic, Latinx people. You see their 23andMe, and I mean, they have wild mixes, and sometimes these people, they can't figure if they're part this or part that. But sometimes they might be shocked by how Spanish they are, or by how Indian they are, or so or But they'll have other stuff too, like African and things. In that they kind of have a mix of everything south of the border, and then uh, on this, north of the border, everyone is you're not really going to have that kind of. You'll have probably in Europe. You'll have, I mean, for any white people in American, like I consider, if I look at this mix of myself, it just seems like an American mix. It seems like that's broadly what probably a lot of other people have, you know, probably a lot of my people have. Um, but I think it's good. Like I think personally it's better than say what you might have in Europe, where maybe in Europe you might have, it might just say one region, and then it'll be like 100% because you don't even have any relatives or ancestors who've ever even left your village or whatever. But I think this kind of gives Americans some kind of superiority. I'd even say like that Americans have a kind of a mix. Like like I'm speaking of like, because you could have like 100% European, but then all these different Europeans you get to America, and they all mix up. They're all like it's like a healthy mix. It's not some like you're just putting a bunch of weird stuff. It's just like a healthy amount of variation as opposed to like tightly inbreeding for like um centuries and centuries. And not to say that is what most of Europe looks like. Um, but but none of America's really gonna, because pretty much even if you have like ethnic communities and things, people just move around. Or how it's just been jumbled. There's no real, even any kind of like, there's no one else is gonna have like no indigenous people or whatever are gonna have like probably I saw Ben Shapiro's 23andMe, and it's 100%. His was 100% Ashkenazi Jewish, so it's very impressive. But in a way that but that's probably only probably Jewish people are going to be able to pull that off. Ashkenazi Jewish people, and so they have, you know, they have that going on. But I don't think you're going to see like 100% Irish or something so much in America. But I like and not to say how much you're I mean, who knows how much this is causing your influencing your behavior, or but also, I mean, knowing it can influence your behavior too, or even if you didn't know. I don't know, like if if you do one of these tests, and you might be bracing yourself for what it might say or what it might change, but I don't know if that will, like, you might figure where your ideas are coming from. Like if you didn't know, let's say you didn't know that you were any part Jewish, but then you find out that you are, you know that might open doors for you. I don't know. You might be imagining all these doors being opened or something, or the opposite or something. Um, but it's hard to say necessarily. Like, but in terms of like how you act or something, like it might be based on you might not know. Like there's a guy who he's he just put out a 23andMe, and he's like half Jewish, but he knew he was half Jewish, but he didn't tell anybody else. But you see that and you figure, oh, okay, that is why this person sees things a certain way. I didn't know that was his ethnicity, but now I see why he's so critical of this or that, or why he doesn't fit into this or that, or why he thinks certain things are stupid, or because it's because um it's because he's looking at things like an outsider, in a way, or different ethnicities or different minorities. They're going to look at things from like an outsider, you know, even if they might look like one thing, or you think they're one thing. Um, like this, I mean, I'm pretty much, this is like, this is like the American mix. So, um, like if you, it's just a little different, if you being if you consider yourself maybe not fitting in, that you are a little bit different spiritually, or you're more into different things than maybe the people around you or something. It's different if that's really the case. If you're just like, I grew up in a Chicago suburb, and everybody was white. Everyone who went to my school, and anybody who you would see even walking the street, you know, it was, but like it was like you just feel, if I was like a racial minority or something, I'd feel like racially alien or something. I'd feel like I was like I didn't quite fit in that way. It'd be different than if you just see things different, on a spiritual level, because or maybe you're a sensitive person, or a genius, or you're just different. You're a special person. It's it's different than if you're like if you are just different. So it's certain things that are they're just kind of interesting to see. I mean, I think it's worth considering what your own mix might be. Like I think it's dope. I like the 78. What is it? 78.5 Nordic, but then like I like the Slovenian and so forth. It makes you that makes you different in an ethnic way. It's an ethnic mix. That's a little bit different. I like it could be that gives me the Slovenian adds a little something that maybe like an Irish person wouldn't have thought the same about something. Not in the same way necessarily, like we're not the approach towards things around us, but it might kind of color things a little bit different in a way. But it's very interesting to see and just how just to figure what all this can change. So that's pretty much my mix. But hold on, there's more to 23andMe than this. We'll get into more stuff. I think there's more. I'm not going to get into my health. I'm in perfect health, mind you. Uh, that's not just from 23andMe. I just did like a checkup or whatever. But my 23andMe helped really good. Hold on, I want to find some different. You don't need to know that. Neanderthal. That's dope. This is what I like. The Neanderthal. The Neanderthal DNA. This is so interesting. Hey Carrie, you have Neanderthal DNA. Hey Carrie, you have more Neanderthal DNA than 71% of other customers. It's awesome. Neanderthals are prehistoric humans who interbred with modern humans before disappearing around 40 years ago. So, because I have Neanderthal DNA, that might influence. You have one variant. You have one variant associated with having difficulty discarding rarely used, like the hoarder, the hoarder, the hoarder gene, Neanderthal gene. That's not being less likely to have a pure fate. Okay. Being more likely to have an apple body than a pear tree body. Being a better sprinter than distance runner. I'm a better sprinter than distance runner, but I can distance run as well. But I haven't. You have one variant associated with being less likely to prefer salty foods over sweet. Oh, that could be true. I eat a lot of sweet food. Having more dandruff. Being less likely to have stretch marks. Alright. Being more likely to prefer dark chocolate over milk chocolate. That's not true. I shouldn't even. Being less likely to sneeze after eating dark chocolate. Neanderthals, I don't know what. Okay. That's cool. So there you go. Now you know that about me. So we'll go into paternal haplogroup. Carrie, your paternal haplogroup is RCTS 4065. As our ancestors ventured, okay, we'll do the out of Africa thing. We'll ignore that. So, all right. So check that out. The haplogroup migrations of your paternal line. So you see that that's the R1, the R1B march for that's haplogroup. So you were coming from Ukraine. Your paternal line stems from a branch of RM343 called RM269, one of the most prolific paternal lineages across Western Eurasia. Like, so this is RM R1 this is R1B. So we're getting into the steppe Aryan history of our Aryan ancestors. Our RM269 arose roughly 10,000 years ago as the people of the Fertile Crescent domesticated plants and animals for the first time. I'll point out right now that King Tut and Tsar Nicholas II were also RM269. So those are our RM269 guys. They're our R1B. Around 8,000 years ago, the first farmers and herders began to push east into Central Asia and north into the Caucasus Mountains. Some of them eventually reached the steppes above the Black and Caspian Seas. There they lived as pastoral nomads, herding cattle and sheep across the grassland, while their neighbors to the south developed yet another crucial technology in human history, bronze smelting. As bronze tools and weaponry spread north, a new steppe culture called the Yamnaya was born. The Yamnaya. So that's my people. Okay. So around 5,000 years ago, perhaps triggered by a cold spell that made it difficult to feed their herds, Yamnaya men spilled east across Siberia and down into over time, their descendants spread. The men from the steppes also outcompeted the local men as they went. My ancestors. Their success is demonstrated in the overwhelming dominance of the RM269 lineage in Europe. Over 80% of men in Ireland and Wales carry the haplogroup, as do over 60% of men along the Atlantic coast from Spain to France. So that's the first one. The frequency of RM269 gradually decreased to the east following. Okay, cool. Yeah. And then, so that's a good haplogroup. And then you share a paternal line. You share a paternal line ancestor with Nile of the Nine hostages. So this the no. So this is the King of Ireland. So this is the we was kings. So I'm related to the King of Ireland. I'm related to the King of Ireland. I'll have you know. I'm descended from the King of Ireland. So in fact, researchers have estimated that okay. So that's a lot of it. So this haplogroup. So we're coming out of see it mutates in those steppes in the Ukraine. So and then we venture our way to west to Ireland, all the way to Ireland, outcompeting the men as we went, outcompeting the local men as we went. So this is why all true Aryans support Ukraine. All true R1B the spiritual Yamnaya, we support Ukraine because Ukraine is our aboriginal homeland, where we mutated and became what we are before we made our way across Germany and into Britain. Okay, so yeah, that's the. You see, it really is the Aryan homeland. Maternal haplogroup. We'll go there. This one's kind of my paternal haplogroup is I don't know if this one's if you've ever heard of this. Is your Carrie, your maternal haplogroup is U4A1. As our ancestors okay. Out of Africa. No. Your maternal line stems from a branch of U called U4A. Members of U4A trace the maternal line back 15,000 years in the region surrounding the Baltic Sea to a woman who lived around. So that's my ancestor, is a woman who lived 15,000 years ago in the region surrounding the Baltic Sea. Today, her descendants are the most common among the people of the Volga River and the Ural Mountains of Russia, such as the Chuvash, Kets, and Marmi. It is also common among the Baltic and Finnish people of northern Europe who speak languages related to the Finno-Ugric tongues of the Volga-Ural region in western Russia. The Finno-Ugric speakers surrounding the Baltic Sea and the northwestern Siberian group both probably originated in the same spot just north of the Black Sea. Members of was in Western Europe. Members of so I don't know. Did this come from the Finnish? Did this sneak in with that point too? Members of U4A are also present at low levels in Western European populations, but the expansion of the haplogroup farther west is somewhat younger than the northern. Okay, migrations may have been spurred by the glacial retreat after the. That's nearly 180 generations ago. It seems like I don't know. That is a long time ago. But in a way, in a way, some of the stuff seems short. Like I always think, like I always figure, like if you figure like someone could live to be like 100 years, then you could like stack those people, and then it's like 10 of those people. Only 10 people you go back like 1,000 years. Then it doesn't seem that short. I don't know. It's kind of hard to wrap your mind around some of the stuff. Not that these are huge numbers, but it just gets a little abstract. The spread of U4A has been found remains. The spread of U4A has been found remains from the corded ware culture. Does that mean okay? Whatever. It's the corded ware. So this is the corded ware culture. So paternal haplogroup, Yamnaya. Maternal haplogroup, corded ware. All right. So that's my that's I don't know. That's my mix. The Yamnaya and the corded ware peoples together. The name, in fact, their language was their language was the common prehistoric ancestor of Celtic, German, Baltic, and Slavic languages. Isn't that so dope? While the expansions of while the expansion of horseback warriors from the steppes are associated most strongly from the spread of paternal lineages, a number of maternal lineages have also been associated with corded ware remains. So you get a book or something, and then it just shows like tons of weird stuff. Even like I'm super into this stuff. Like I didn't have any big surprise. There's nothing that shouldn't have. I didn't like expect to see Cherokee Indians and then they weren't there. Like my wife my wife did, but I told her at a time I wasn't. But she's lighter. She's like a lot lighter than me. So I'm like I don't see it. But it was and there was nothing there. It's the same thing for her. It's 100% European. So then I have 6 kids. So all of which, so we can really add this up, and then it's like and then my kids are all 100% European as well. So I think that's really interesting, and I mean it just shows you a lot about like I don't know, it's not like you can like look at this and you don't need I mean you probably should look at this and be somewhat proud of it, no matter what your own says. But it'll just say a lot about you know, or about who you aren't. You know, it's not going to say the full story. Like I don't like just identify myself just by this stuff entirely. You know, like you have your individual stuff, but I mean, you have an individual mix too. So what can you say? There's just a lot to there's a lot to dwell on all this stuff. I like all of it. I didn't really like I say, if there's any kind of, I didn't expect to be any Croatian to be there, but it's just from the Slovenian, the the Danish, everything else. Nothing really wild, but I think it's cool. Oh, then you can like look in at like the map or something. I actually want to do that. In the last 200 years, this is what, if you have your own 23andMe or you, this is what you can get, Oh, so then it's like, oh, check it out. That's where you're live. So it's like, in West Germany, Berlin also. So Rhineland-Palatinate, Berlin, Hesse, and North Rhine-Westphalia. So that's where the bulk of it is. I think a lot of like southern Germany is really cool, but I mean this is all cool. Everything with I've seen like I knew the Berlin was gonna be there because I've actually seen like photographs of relatives um like that that were like in Berlin before in like 1870, like so it's kind of gnarly and surreal, like, but so I planned to see that, and I knew some of the stuff, but other things are different. Should we go to Britain, Ireland? Yes. So, yeah, big back. Okay. What the heck? I don't know why that's not helpful. It's like all of it. What is going on? I don't know. I'm pretty sure Ireland doesn't look like that. That map is jack. This this isn't the first time I've looked at it. I mean, look, it didn't look all jacked up. Whatever. This won't help with any. But yeah, that it's just really interesting. Like I said, like all the stuff you find out about like all these different people, and you can like find out tons of stuff. I'm sure they're just gonna get more and more detailed and keep breaking this stuff down. I just think it's really interesting because I'll just think about how we have how much that we've advanced as like a species where we have all this tech and we can put like all this circuits and wiring and chips and but we can really get a tight handle on that much more than this biological material. You know, we can't just make um, all these organs and stuff like that. We still don't even know what how a lot of the stuff, like there's organs that we we barely know what they do. So people, I'm not. I think it's kind of laughable that say any kind of doctors could um construct altogether like human organs, and so if you hear about different kind of surgeries and stuff like that, but it's like this is a little bit beyond. I mean, this is the stuff that's like hardwired by God. Like this is the stuff that's a bit beyond, and so it's interesting to really check and just kind of look into. I don't know. Like I said, I really like 23andMe. I freaking love 23andMe. the So I thought I'd put mine up. Um, but that's about it.